Love, they say, can actually be the sweetest dream or the most dangerous trap. One woman's wedding almost turned into a nightmare until a mysterious man changed everything. Sometimes love isn't what it seems. This is a story of trust, betrayal, and the love that finally found her. Sit back and enjoy. The music floated softly through the big church. White flowers covered the walls. Gold light touched every seat. People whispered with joy. Phones were ready. Everyone came to see Mary, the black business queen, marrying the man everyone called perfect. Mary stood in front of the altar, breathing slow. Her dress shined like morning snow. Her hands trembled, but she smiled. She had worked for everything in her life. From nothing to millions. From fear to power. And today, she believed she had found love too. Daniel held her hand. His smile was calm. Too calm. He looked handsome in his black suit. Tall. Clean. Gentle eyes. The kind of man people trust fast. The kind that makes mothers proud and friends jealous. Mary looked at him and whispered, "We made it." Daniel squeezed her fingers. "Yes, we did." The priest lifted his hand. "If anyone here has a reason why these two should not be joined." Before he finished, boom, the church doors burst open. The music stopped. Gasps flew like birds. Heavy shoes hit the floor. Step, step, step. A tall Korean man walked in. Black long coat. Cold eyes. Face calm but powerful. His hair neat. His presence heavy, like thunder hiding inside skin. People knew him. Whispers raced. That's Chairman Park. The soul boss. The underground king. Mary's heart jumped. Chairman Park walked down the aisle slowly. Not rushing. Not smiling. Every step made the air colder. He stopped in front of the altar. He raised his finger and pointed at Daniel. His voice was deep and sharp. "Don't marry him." Silence crashed. Daniel's face lost its color. His lips shook. Mary's world tilted. "What?" Someone whispered. Chairman Park moved closer. He placed a thick file on the altar. It hit hard. Thud. He opened it. Photos slid out. Passports. Bank papers. Marriage records. Mary leaned forward, confused. Chairman Park spoke calmly. "This man already has a wife." Gasps. "And 2 children." More gasps. "He married in Europe 6 years ago." Shock froze the room. "He came here for money." Silence screamed. "He chose Mary for her business, not her heart." Daniel stepped back. "That's a lie," he shouted. But his voice cracked. Chairman Park picked up a photo and held it high. Daniel with another woman. 2 kids smiling beside him. Mary felt her chest burn. "Daniel," she whispered. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Tears filled Mary's eyes. Chairman Park turned to her gently. "You were never his dream." Pause. "You were his escape plan." Mary's knees weakened. The love she believed in suddenly felt like glass. And it was about to shatter. Mary couldn't breathe. Her ears rang. Her heart beat fast like a drum trapped in her chest. The church that once felt warm now felt cold. Too cold. She stared at the photos. Daniel holding another woman. Daniel playing with 2 kids. Daniel smiling, the same smile he gave her. Her hands shook. "Daniel," she whispered again. "Tell me this is fake." Daniel swallowed. Sweat rolled down his face. The guests stared. Cameras shook. No one moved. Chairman Park spoke again, slow and strong. He used 3 names. 5 accounts. 2 countries. He pointed at the file. He planned to marry Mary, move her money, and disappear. Mary's head spun. Daniel suddenly laughed. A fake laugh. "You believe a gangster over your husband," he said. Chairman Park looked at him without emotion. "You mean almost husband?" Daniel's eyes twitched. Mary stepped back. "I trusted you," she said softly. Daniel reached for her. She pulled away. Chairman Park placed another paper forward. "Your real name is not Daniel." He looked up. "It is Marcus Cole." The room exploded with noise. Daniel froze. Chairman Park continued. "You were arrested once in Spain." Pause. "Once in France." Pause. and once for love scams. Mary covered her mouth. Tears fell fast. Daniel dropped to his knees. Mary, I can explain. She shook her head slowly. You practiced love, she whispered. You didn't feel it. Her heart cracked. Chairman Park turned to the guards waiting near the door. Take him. 2 men walked forward. Daniel screamed. No, Mary, I love you. But love doesn't shake like fear. They grabbed him. Daniel fought. But lies are weak. They dragged him away. The doors closed again. Silence returned. Mary stood alone at the altar. Her dress felt heavy. Her dream fell apart in front of everyone. Chairman Park looked at her. Not with power. With respect. I'm sorry this happened here, he said. But public lies must die in public light. Mary wiped her tears. Why did you stop it? She asked. He paused. His eyes softened. Because my mother once lost everything to a man like him. Quiet. She trusted love more than truth. He looked away. I will not watch another woman fall the same way. Mary felt something strange. Not fear. Not anger. Safety. The crowd slowly left. But something new stayed behind. A quiet connection. Between the woman saved from a lie and the man feared by the city. Days passed. The church became news. Mary became strong again. But her heart felt empty. She sat in her office late one night. City lights danced outside her window. Her business still stood. Her money still grew. But trust felt broken. A knock came. Her assistant whispered, Chairman Park is here. Mary's heart jumped. Let him in. Chairman Park entered calmly. Same black coat. Same quiet power. But his eyes looked softer now. I wanted to check on you, he said. Mary nodded. Thank you for saving me. He sat across from her. You didn't need saving. Pause. You needed truth. Mary smiled weakly. They talked. About love. About lies. About money hunters. About why smart women still ignore red flags. Chairman Park spoke slowly. Predators hide in romance. Pause. They wear kindness. Mary nodded. I saw only what I wanted, she said. He leaned back. Real love is not rushed. Pause. It waits. The room felt calm. Not heavy. Not dangerous. Just honest. Mary looked at him. The man feared by soul. Yet the safest voice she had heard in years. Their story was only beginning. The next day, Mary woke up before sunrise. The city was still quiet. No horns. No noise. Just soft light touching the buildings outside her window. She sat on her bed and stared at her hands. For the first time in many days, her chest did not hurt. But her heart still felt careful. She remembered Daniel's smile. How it looked kind. How it hid lies. She stood up, walked to the mirror, and touched her face. I survived, she whispered. At work, everyone treated her gently. Her staff smiled more slowly. Her assistant brought tea instead of coffee. You don't have meetings today, her assistant said softly. Chairman Park asked me to clear your schedule. Mary paused. He did. She didn't know why that made her heart feel warm. Later, her phone vibrated. A message. Park. If you are free, would you like lunch? Some were quiet. Mary stared at the screen. She smiled. Mary. Yes. Somewhere simple. An hour later, a black car waited downstairs. Not fancy. Not loud. Just clean and calm. Chairman Park opened the door himself. You didn't send a driver, Mary noticed. He smiled slightly. I wanted to be normal today. They went to a small Korean cafe. No cameras. No noise. Just soft music and warm food smells. They sat by the window. Mary watched him carefully. You're different from what people say, she said. He looked surprised. What did they say? That you're cold. He shook his head slowly. I'm careful, but that doesn't make me a bad person. They ordered food. Rice. Soup. Tea. Mary relaxed. They talked about childhood. About school. About mistakes. About dreams. Park told her about growing up with a strong mother. She sold food in the street, he said. She smiled even when tired. She taught me respect before power. Mary listened quietly. I like that, she said. Park looked at her. I like that you listen. Their eyes met. Not fast. Not forced. Just real. Mary felt something gentle move inside her chest. Not love yet, but the door to it. After lunch, they walked slowly outside. The air was warm. People passed. Life moved normally. Mary felt like she was learning how to breathe again. Park stopped near a small bookstore. Do you read? He asked. Yes, Mary smiled. Stories help me think. He nodded. Me too. They teach patience. They went inside. Park picked a simple book and handed it to her. This one talks about rebuilding after loss. Mary touched the cover. Thank you. They walked again. Mary suddenly laughed. Park looked at her. What? I just realized. I'm not scared around you. He paused. That makes me happy. They stopped at a quiet bridge. Cars passed under them slowly. Mary leaned on the rail. Can I ask something honest? Yes. Why do you really spend time with me? Park didn't answer fast. He looked at the river. Then at her. Because you didn't break. Pause. You bent, but you stood again. Pause. I respect that. Mary's eyes softened. No man had spoken to her like that before. Daniel had promised. Park respected. There was a difference. Mary felt safe enough to tell truth. I'm scared of love now. Park nodded. That's normal. She looked at him. What if I can't trust again? He answered gently. Then we don't rush trust. Pause. We build it. Mary smiled. Slow love felt better than loud love. They walked back to the car. Before she entered, Park said softly, Mary, I'm not here to replace anyone. Pause. I'm here to walk, if you allow. Mary met his eyes. I'll walk, she said. Not run. Not hide. Just walk. And something peaceful started growing between them. Days passed. Mary and Park met often. Not fancy dates. Not big shows. Just normal moments. Coffee. Books. Evening walks. Quiet talks. Mary noticed things. Park always listened. He never pushed. He never rushed. One evening, they sat in Mary's office balcony. City lights shine like stars on the ground. Mary held a cup of tea. Daniel used to talk too much, she said. He tried to impress. But you really don't. Park smiled. I prefer to understand. Mary looked at him. Do you believe love can grow slowly? He nodded. The strongest buildings start small. Silence sat between them. But it wasn't empty. It was full. Mary suddenly asked, Are you lonely? Park thought. Yes, he answered honestly. But not broken. Mary liked that answer. She stood and moved closer to the railing. Park followed. They stood side by side. Not touching, but close. Mary felt warmth near her arm. She didn't pull away. Park noticed. He smiled softly. Thank you for trusting me. Mary whispered. Thank you for earning it. A soft wind passed. Mary closed her eyes. For the first time in a long time, love didn't feel scary. It felt calm. And calm love lasts longer than loud promises. Their story was no longer about rescue. It was about choice. And every day, Mary was choosing to open her heart gently, wisely, and real. Mary was in her office when her assistant rushed in with a tablet. Mary, your London partner's confirmed, she said. They want you there in 2 days. Mary looked up. London. Yes, the new fashion tech deal. They're excited to meet you in person. Mary leaned back in her chair and smiled a little. She had not traveled since the wedding disaster. Life had been quiet, safe, and slow. But business still called her forward. Book it, Mary said. I'll go. After the assistant left, Mary picked up her phone. She paused, then typed. Mary, I'm traveling to London for work. I might be quiet for a few days. The reply came faster than she expected. Park. That's interesting. Then another message. Park. I also have business in London this week. Mary blinked. She typed back. Mary. Really? Park. Yes. Coincidence, I guess. Mary smiled at the screen. Something warm touched her chest. Later that evening, Park called her. London is busy this time of year, he said calmly. Flights fill fast. Mary laughed softly. I already checked. The airport is chaos. There was a short pause. Then Park spoke gently. I have a jet leaving tomorrow night. Mary froze. A jet? Yes, he said, like it was normal. If you don't mind. We could travel together. Mary's heart jumped. Together? She looked at herself in the mirror. Are you sure? She asked. I don't want to disturb your work. You won't, Park replied. Pause. And I won't disturb your space. Mary smiled. Okay, she said softly. We'll travel together. When the call ended, Mary sat quietly. She wasn't nervous. She was excited, but calm and excited. The best kind. The airport hangar was quiet at night. Mary rolled her suitcase slowly. She wore a simple coat and flat shoes. No big jewelry. No drama. Just herself. She saw the jet first. White body. Long wings. Calm power. Then she saw Park standing near the stairs. Black coat. Clean look. Hands in pockets. He smiled when he saw her. You travel light, he said. Mary laughed. I learned that heavy bags slow people down. He liked that answer. A crew member greeted them and stepped aside. Inside the jet was warm and peaceful. Soft seats. Gentle lights. No noise. Mary sat by the window. Park sat across from her, not too close. The door closed. The engines hummed. Mary looked outside as the city slowly pulled away. She felt something strange. Not fear. Freedom. She turned to Park. Thank you for this. He nodded. I wanted your trip to start calm. They flew through clouds. Mary watched the sky change colors. Park brought her tea. Do you like chamomile? She smiled. Yes. How did you know? He paused. You drink it every evening on your balcony. Mary blinked. You noticed? I notice quiet things, he said. Mary felt her cheeks warm. They talked gently while the jet moved through the night. About business. About travel. About music. About home. Mary leaned back. Daniel hated flying, she said suddenly. Park looked at her. He always complained, she continued. But you make it feel easy. Park didn't smile big. He smiled soft. Because you don't need noise to feel safe. Mary closed her eyes for a second. She liked how he understood her without digging into pain. Later, the cabin lights dimmed. Mary wrapped a small blanket around herself. Park noticed. Without speaking, he handed her a pillow. Their fingers touched for a second. Not long, but real. Mary looked at him. He looked back. Nothing rushed. Nothing forced. Just a quiet moment floating over the ocean. Mary whispered, "This really feels like a coincidence." Park smiled slightly. Sometimes life plans better than people. London welcomed them with gray skies and soft rain. The city smelled like coffee and history. Mary stood outside the airport and breathed in. I love this place, she said. Park stood beside her. London makes people think slower. They drove into the city. Buildings passed like stories. Bridges. Lights. Busy people. Mary stayed in a hotel near the business district. Park stayed nearby. Before separating, Park said, "Your meeting is at 10?" Mary nodded. "Yes. I'll be finished by noon," he said. Pause. "If you'd like company later." Mary smiled. "I'd like that." They parted gently. Not dramatic. Just comfortable. Mary's meeting went well. The London partners respected her calm power. They liked how she spoke simply and clearly. By noon, contracts were nearly done. Mary felt proud. She stepped out of the building and checked her phone. A message waited. Park. Finished. Are you hungry? Mary smiled. Mary. Very. They met at a small cafe near the river. Rain tapped softly on the glass. They sat across from each other. Mary laughed. This feels different from work dinners. Park raised his brow. How? This feels personal. Park nodded slowly. Because we're not selling anything. Mary looked at him. Except honesty. Park smiled. Exactly. They ate quietly. Watched boats pass. Mary suddenly asked, "Why did you really choose London this week?" Park paused. He looked at his cup. Then at her. The truth. Mary nodded. I changed my schedule, he said calmly. Pause. After you told me about yours. Mary's breath slowed. So, it wasn't a coincidence? He met her eyes. It was intentional. Mary didn't feel scared. She felt chosen, but not trapped. She smiled. That's better than coincidence. Park nodded. I think so too. Rain continued falling outside. Inside, something warmer was rising between them. Not passion, not rush, but a deep, careful connection that was beginning to look a lot like love. And London was only the next page of their story. London felt softer the next morning. The rain had stopped. The sky was light gray, but calm. Mary stood by her hotel window and looked down at the busy street. Cars moved slowly. People held coffee cups and hurried to work. She touched the glass gently. Her heart felt different. Not heavy, not rushed, just full. Her phone buzzed. Park. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Mary smiled before replying. Mary. Yes. The rain helped. A few seconds later. Park. There is a small park near your hotel. I'm walking there now. If you'd like fresh air. Mary didn't even think long. She grabbed her coat. I'm coming, she whispered to herself. The park was quiet and green. London trees stood tall and proud. The grass still held drops of rain. Mary saw him near a bench. Brown coat. Hands relaxed. Watching birds like he had nowhere else to be. When he saw her, his face softened. You came, he said. You invited, she replied. They began walking slowly. No bodyguards. No noise. No pressure. Just two people learning each other. Mary looked down at her shoes. I've been thinking, she said. About how calm I feel with you. Park listened. She continued. With Daniel, I always felt like I had to impress him. Or prove something. Or move faster. Park's voice was gentle. And now? Mary stopped walking. She turned to face him. Now I feel like I can just be Mary. Park held her gaze. That's who I like, he said. Her heart skipped. He didn't say he liked her beauty, or her money, or her success. He liked her. Mary. They sat on the bench. A small child ran past them laughing. Mary smiled at the sound. Park watched her smile. He noticed how her eyes shined when she felt safe. He spoke carefully. Mary, I don't want to rush anything. She nodded. Good. I want what grows slowly. She looked at him. Why? Because fast things burn out. Mary felt that sentence deep inside. She turned slightly toward him. I'm scared of wanting you, she admitted quietly. Park did not move closer. He did not grab her hand. He simply said, It's okay. She swallowed. What if I get hurt again? He answered honestly. You might. Mary blinked. He continued. But I won't lie to protect you from fear. I can only promise truth. Mary felt her chest tighten. Not from pain. From emotion. Truth. That word meant more to her now than love. She slowly reached her hand out. Not fully. Just resting it beside his on the bench. Park looked at it. Then gently placed his hand over hers. Soft. Warm. Not tight. Just present. Mary's breath slowed. She didn't pull away. Their fingers stayed like that. Quiet. Real. That evening, they walked along the Thames River. Lights reflected on the water. The city felt alive, but not loud. Mary leaned slightly into him without thinking. Park noticed. He did not step away. He adjusted his pace to match hers. Small things. Important things. Mary looked up at him. Can I ask something? Yes. When did you start feeling this? Park took a moment. On the bridge in Seoul, he said. Mary remembered. The day she told him she was afraid of love. He continued. When you admitted fear instead of hiding it. Mary's eyes grew soft. No one ever told me that fear can be beautiful. He nodded. It means your heart still works. They stopped walking. The wind moved her hair. Park gently moved a strand away from her face. His fingers brushed her cheek. Mary closed her eyes for a second. That small touch felt stronger than any loud kiss. She opened her eyes again. Park. He waited. I think I'm starting to trust you more than I planned. He smiled softly. I'm starting to care more than I expected. They both laughed lightly at the honesty. Mary stepped a little closer. Not forced. Not dramatic. Just close enough to feel his warmth fully. Park looked down at her. "I won't push," he said. "You don't have to," she whispered. For a long second, they just stood there. The city moved around them. But they stayed still. Park leaned down slowly. Not sudden. Not hungry. He paused before touching her lips, giving her space to step back. She didn't. Their kiss was soft, gentle, short, but full of meaning. When they pulled away, Mary rested her forehead lightly against his chest. Her heart beat fast, but not from fear, from hope. Park wrapped one arm around her carefully, like holding something precious. Not fragile, just important. Mary smiled against him. "This feels real," she whispered. "It is," he replied. And in that quiet London night, their feelings stopped being careful strangers and began becoming something deeper, something steady, something that could last. London gave them one more quiet morning before they returned home. Mary packed her suitcase slowly. She folded her clothes with care, but her mind was somewhere else. It was with him, with the way he listened, with the way he waited, with the way he kissed her like she mattered. Her phone buzzed. "Park. The car is ready. No rush." Mary smiled. She liked that about him. No rush. On the jet back to Korea, the mood felt different. Warmer. Closer. Mary sat beside him this time, not across. The sky outside was bright blue. Clouds looked soft like cotton. Park poured her tea again without asking. "You remember," she said. He nodded. "I pay attention." Mary looked at him for a long moment. "Park, what are we doing?" He didn't look confused. He looked ready. "We're building," he said. She leaned back into her seat. "I don't want something halfway." "Neither do I." She studied his face. No fear. No tricks. No hiding. Just honesty. The jet hummed quietly. Mary reached for his hand this time. He held it gently. Not tight. Just steady. When they landed in Korea, the air felt familiar. The language around them flowed fast and musical. Mary watched him change slightly. Not colder, but stronger. More leader. More presence. Yet when he looked at her, his eyes were still soft. A few days later, Park invited Mary to dinner at a quiet traditional Korean house outside the busy city. The place had wooden floors and soft lantern lights. The garden outside had small stones and a peaceful pond. Mary wore a simple, elegant dress. Park wore a dark suit, but no tie. They sat on floor cushions across from each other. Warm food filled the table. Mary smiled. "This feels special." "It is," he replied. They ate slowly, talked softly. The night felt important, but calm. After dinner, Park stood. "Walk with me," he said. They stepped outside into the garden. The moon reflected on the pond water. Mary wrapped her arms lightly around herself. It was a little cool. Park gently placed his jacket over her shoulders. She looked up at him. "Thank you." He took a deep breath. Not nervous, but serious. "Mary," he began. Her heart beat faster. He stepped closer, but not too close. "I have thought carefully," he said. "I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to assume. I don't want to rush." Mary felt her chest tighten softly. He continued. "You are strong. You are wise. And you deserve something clear." He looked directly into her eyes. In Korea, when a man is serious, he speaks directly. Mary swallowed gently. Park's voice lowered slightly. "Mary, will you be my girlfriend?" No drama. No kneeling. No big show. Just honest eyes and a steady voice. Mary stared at him. The word felt simple, but powerful. Girlfriend. Not secret. Not hidden. Not temporary. Official. Real. She stepped closer. "So this is not a coincidence," she teased softly. He smiled. "No, this is a choice." Mary felt warmth spread through her body. "You're not afraid?" she asked. "I am," he admitted. "But I would rather be afraid with truth than comfortable with lies." That sentence touched her deeply. Mary reached up and touched his face gently. "I don't want perfect," she said. "I want real." He nodded. "I am real." She smiled through soft emotion. Yes, she whispered. I will be your girlfriend. For the first time, Park let his guard fall completely. Relief passed over his face. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her fully. Mary held him back just as tight. Not fragile. Not careful. Just honest. The pond water moved softly beside them. The moon watched quietly. Park rested his chin lightly on her head. I will respect you, he said. Mary closed her eyes. And I will trust you, she replied. Their love was not loud. It was steady. Not rushed. It was chosen. And for Mary, after everything she survived, being chosen honestly felt more beautiful than any wedding dress. But love, even calm love, still needed to grow deeper. And they were only at the beginning. The news did not explode. And Mary liked that. There were no loud headlines. No dramatic photos. Chairman Park was a private man, and Mary respected that. Their relationship was not hidden, but it was not displayed like a trophy. It was protected. A week after that night in the garden, Mary visited Park's office for the first time as his girlfriend. The building was tall and quiet. Clean glass walls. Calm staff. People bowed slightly when he passed. Mary noticed something. He walked with power. But when he walked beside her, he slowed his steps. Inside his office, the windows showed the wide city of Seoul. Mountains in the distance. Busy streets below. Mary stood near the window. Your world is very different from mine, she said softly. Park joined her. Is that a problem? She shook her head. No, just new. He looked at her carefully. You don't have to change to fit here. Mary turned to him. I won't. He smiled slightly. That's why I chose you. Those words warmed her deeply. Chosen. Not for business. Not for image. Not for gain. Just her. That evening, they had dinner with two of Park's close friends. Quiet men. Respectful. Observant. Mary felt their eyes on her at first. Measuring. Not judging. Just protecting their leader. But Mary was not weak. She spoke calmly. She asked thoughtful questions. She laughed gently. She listened more than she talked. By the end of dinner, the tension was gone. One of the men bowed slightly toward her. You're strong, he said simply. Mary smiled. I learned from hard lessons. Park watched her the entire time. Not because he doubted her, but because he admired her. On the drive home, he spoke quietly. You handled that well. Mary leaned back in her seat. I wasn't nervous. Why? She looked at him. Because I know you won't let anyone disrespect me. He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, That's true. Not possessive. Protective. There was a difference. As weeks passed, their routine grew natural. Morning texts. Short calls during lunch. Evening walks when both were free. Sometimes Mary worked late. Park would quietly show up with dinner. Sometimes Park had long meetings. Mary would leave a simple message. Eat. Rest. Small care. Big meaning. One night, they sat on Mary's balcony again. The same place where she once cried after the wedding stopped. Now she leaned into Park's shoulder. Do you ever think about that day? She asked softly. Yes, he said. Do you regret stepping in? He looked at her like the answer was obvious. Never. Mary traced small circles on his hand with her finger. That day felt like the worst day of my life. Park kissed her hair gently. And now? She smiled against him. It feels like the day my life changed. He pulled her a little closer. Not tight. Just enough to feel her warmth. Mary, he said quietly, I don't want to be your rescue story. She lifted her head to look at him. You're not. I want to be your partner. She studied his face. You are. Silence rested between them. Comfortable. Safe. Then Mary said something she had not planned to say. I love how you make decisions slowly. Park raised one eyebrow slightly. That sounds boring. She laughed. No. It feels safe. He looked at her seriously. My feelings are not slow, he said. Her heart skipped. They are careful. Mary felt her chest tighten gently. How do you feel? She whispered. He looked into her eyes. I feel responsible for your happiness. Pause. I feel proud when you stand beside me. Pause. And I feel peace when you're near. Mary's eyes became soft. No man had ever spoken to her like that. No big promises. No dramatic words. Just steady truth. She placed her hand over his heart. "It's beating fast," she teased lightly. He smiled. "That's your fault." Mary leaned up and kissed him slowly. This time deeper than London. Still gentle. But sure. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. "I think," she began softly. He waited. "I think I'm falling in love with you." Park did not look shocked. He did not look scared. He looked calm. "I know," he said quietly. Mary blinked. "You know?" He nodded. "Because I am too." Her breath caught. Those words were not loud. But they were heavy with meaning. They did not rush to say more. They didn't need to. Love was not fireworks for them. It was a foundation. And foundations are built slowly, strongly, and deeply. 2 years passed like a soft song. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just steady and beautiful. Mary and Park grew together slowly. They traveled for work. They met each other's trusted people. They learned small habits. Mary learned that Park liked quiet mornings and green tea before speaking. Park learned that Mary needed 10 minutes alone after a long day before she could relax. They never rushed big words. But they showed love daily. When Mary felt stressed, Park would sit beside her without speaking. When Park carried too much responsibility, Mary would remind him, "You don't have to carry everything alone." Their love became calm, deep, rooted. One evening, exactly 2 years after the wedding that never happened, Park invited Mary back to the same traditional Korean garden where he asked her to be his girlfriend. The air was warm. Lanterns glowed softly. The pond water moved gently. Mary smiled when she arrived. "You like bringing me here," she teased. He nodded. "This is where I became brave." She laughed softly. "You? Brave?" He looked at her seriously. "Yes. Loving you required courage." Her smile faded into something softer. They walked slowly through the garden. Mary felt something different in the air. Not fear. Not tension. Just importance. When they reached the pond, Park stopped. He turned to face her fully. Mary noticed his breathing change slightly. Her heart began to beat faster. "Mary," he said calmly. She looked at him. "I have watched you grow these 2 years," he continued. "I have seen your strength, your patience, your kindness, and your fire." Mary felt emotion rise inside her chest. He stepped closer. "You are not perfect," he said gently. She blinked. "Thank you," she joked softly. He smiled. "And neither am I." He took a slow breath. "But together, we are honest." Mary's throat tightened. Park reached into his jacket. Not dramatic. Not flashy. He held a small simple ring. No large crowd. No music. Just them. In Korea, he said softly, marriage is not just love. It is a promise. It is partnership. It is family. Mary's eyes filled slowly with tears. "I do not want to rescue you," he continued. "I do not want to control you. I want to build with you." He knelt, not quickly, but carefully. "Mary, will you marry me?" The world felt silent. Even the wind paused. Mary looked at him. The man who stopped her from a lie. The man who never rushed her heart. The man who chose her daily. She remembered the church. The broken dream. The fear. And then she looked at this moment. This calm. This truth. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Yes," she whispered. Park's shoulders relaxed in visible relief. "Yes," she said again, stronger. He stood and slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly, not from fear of losing her, but from gratitude of finding her. Mary pressed her face against his chest. "This time," she said softly, "I'm not afraid." "Neither am I," he replied. Their wedding was quiet and private. Close friends. Family. No noise. No drama. Just vows spoken clearly. Mary wore white again, but more elegantly. But this time, her heart was steady. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the room remained peaceful. Park squeezed her hand gently. She smiled at him. The past was finished. This was new. Months later, They made another big decision. One evening on the balcony, Mary said, "I've been thinking about London." Park looked at her. "The business environment is strong there," she continued. "And I love how calm we felt." Park nodded slowly. "My operations in Korea are stable," he said. "They can continue without me managing every detail." Mary hesitated. "What if we start fresh there? Build something new together?" He studied her face. "You want that?" She nodded. "Yes, a place that holds no old pain. Just future." Park took her hand. "Then we go." It wasn't a long discussion. They both had strong teams in Korea. Their businesses would continue running smoothly. Trusted partners. Reliable managers. They did not abandon their roots. They expanded them. London welcomed them differently this time. Not as two careful people, but as husband and wife. They bought a beautiful townhouse near the river. Simple. Elegant. Warm. Mary set up her new office branch in the city. Park opened an international investment division. But evenings were theirs. Cooking together. Walking by the river. Quiet talks about future children. Soft laughter in their home. One night, Mary stood by the same Thames River where they once shared their first real kiss. Park came behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Do you regret moving?" he asked softly. She leaned back into him. "No." "Why?" "Because I didn't just move countries," she said. "I moved into peace." He kissed her temple gently. "And I moved into partnership." Mary turned in his arms. "I love you," she said clearly. Park looked at her like she was the only person in the world. "I love you more deeply than I knew I could," he answered. The river flowed steadily beside them. Just like their love. Not loud, not dramatic, but strong. And this time, when Mary looked at her future, she saw no trap. Only choice. Only trust. Only the life they were building together. 25 years passed. Not in a rush. Not in noise. But in seasons. Spring flowers. Summer light. Autumn leaves. Winter snow. Mary stood by the same window in their London townhouse, now a little older, a little wiser. The river still flowed outside. The city still moved fast. But inside their home, time felt gentle. She touched the silver strands in her hair and smiled. Behind her, a familiar voice said, "You're thinking again." Park. His voice was deeper now. Slower. Calm in a different way. His hair carried gray too, but his eyes were still steady. Mary turned. "You remember when we first came here?" she asked. He walked toward her. "Yes. You said you moved into peace." She smiled. "I was right." He nodded softly. "Yes, you were." They had built a life that was not loud, but full. Their businesses in Korea had grown strong over the years. Trusted teams handled operations. Park traveled when needed. Mary expanded her brand across Europe and Asia. But success was no longer the most important thing. Family was. Laughter echoed from upstairs. Mary smiled wider. "Our children are awake," she said. Park shook his head. "They are not children anymore." Their twins were 22 now. A boy and a girl. June and Hannah. June was tall like Park. Calm eyes. Thoughtful words. He studied international business and technology at university. He spoke carefully, like his father. Hannah carried Mary's fire. Bright smile. Strong voice. She studied law and social policy. She cared about fairness and protecting women in business. They were both home for a short break. June walked into the kitchen first. "Mom, are you making tea?" he asked. Mary smiled. "Yes, your favorite." Hannah followed, hugging her father from behind. "Appa, you promised to review my internship contract." Park smiled gently. After breakfast, the kitchen felt warm. Mary watched her children sit at the table, talking, laughing, teasing each other. She felt something deep inside her chest. Gratitude. Later that afternoon, the family walked by the Thames together. The same river. The same path. June walked beside Park. "Appa," he asked quietly, "how did you know Mom was the one?" Park glanced at Mary ahead, laughing with Hannah. He answered simply, "She made my life steady." June nodded thoughtfully. "Not exciting?" he asked. Park smiled. Excitement fades. Steadiness builds. Ahead of them, Hannah held Mary's arm. "Mom," she asked, "were you scared to trust Dad?" Mary laughed softly. "Yes." Hannah looked surprised. "You? Scared?" Mary nodded. "Trust is always scary. But your father never rushed me." Hannah smiled. "That sounds romantic." Mary looked at Park walking behind them. "It was real," she said. That evening, after the children went out to meet friends, Mary and Park sat alone in their living room. Soft lights. Quiet music. Mary rested her head on his shoulder like she did years ago. 25 years, she whispered. Park held her hand. "I would choose you again." She looked up at him. "You never regretted moving?" "Never." She smiled. "You never regretted stopping that wedding?" He looked at her gently. "That was the moment my life changed." Mary felt tears touch her eyes. After all these years, he still spoke with the same steady honesty. "You know," she said softly, "when I look at our children, I see what safe love creates." Park nodded. They grew up watching respect. Mary traced the lines on his hand. "Do you still love me the same?" He shook his head. "No." She raised an eyebrow playfully. "No?" He looked into her eyes. "I love you deeper." Mary laughed softly through emotion. "You always answer like that." He leaned down and kissed her forehead. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Just familiar. Comfortable. Sure. Weeks later, June and Hannah left for university again. The house became quieter. Mary stood at the door after they left. "It goes so fast," she said softly. Park wrapped his arm around her waist. "Yes," he replied. "But we are still here." Mary leaned into him. "And we're still growing." That night, they walked again by the river. Older hands. Slower steps. But stronger connection. Mary stopped and looked at him. "After 25 years, I still feel safe with you." Park touched her cheek gently. "After 25 years, I still choose you." The city lights reflected in the water. Life had changed. Their children had grown. Their businesses had expanded. Their hair had turned gray. But their love, it did not fade. It deepened, like roots under strong ground. And as they stood there together, not young, not perfect, but fully united, Mary realized something powerful. The wedding that was once stopped in fear led her to a life built in truth. And even after 25 years, their story was still unfolding. The months after the children left home felt quiet at first. Too quiet. Mary noticed it on the first Monday morning without June's music playing from his room. No Hannah rushing down the stairs late. No noise in the kitchen. Just soft sunlight. Mary stood in the hallway holding 2 coffee cups. She looked at Park. "It's strange," she said. He smiled gently. "Yes, our house learned how to breathe again." They sat together in the living room, watching the river move slowly outside. Mary leaned into him. "For years, our love grew with children's laughter," she whispered. "Now it grows with silence. I really miss them." Park kissed her hair. "Silence is not empty," he said. "It is space for us again." Mary smiled. She liked that. A few weeks later, Park surprised her. One morning, he handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." Inside was a simple card. "Trip to Seoul. 2 tickets." Mary's eyes widened. "Korea?" Park nodded. "I want to take you back to where our story truly changed." Her heart warmed. "When?" she asked. "Today." Mary laughed softly. "You still like surprises." He smiled. "Only for you." Seoul welcomed them with soft spring air. The city had changed, but some places stayed the same. Park took Mary to the quiet, traditional garden where he once asked her to be his girlfriend. Lanterns still glowed. The pond still whispered. Mary stood there, holding his hand. "Everything started here," she said. Park nodded. And everything became real. They walked slowly through the garden like they did years ago. Mary looked around. "I was scared back then." Park smiled. "And now?" She looked at him. "Now I'm thankful." They stopped near the pond. Park turned toward her. "Mary," he said softly. She met his eyes. "For many years, you walked beside me. You raised our children with strength. You built with patience. You loved with truth. Mary felt emotion rise. "You gave me peace," he continued. "And peace is rarer than passion." Tears filled her eyes. He gently held both her hands. "I don't need another wedding. I don't need another promise." He smiled. "I just want to ask you something simple." She breathed slowly. "Mary, will you keep choosing me every day?" Her tears fell freely now. She laughed through them. "I already do." Park pulled her into his arms. They held each other beside the pond where so much began. Not young lovers. Not old souls. Just two people who stayed. Back in London, life continued quietly. June called often. Hannah sent photos from university. Their businesses still moved across countries. But evenings belonged to Mary and Park. Cooking together. Walking slowly. Sharing memories. One night, Mary sat beside him on the balcony. "Do you remember how scared I was back then?" she asked. Park nodded. "Yes." She looked at him. "Do you remember what you told me?" He thought. "That you were not his dream." Mary smiled softly. "And you told me I deserved truth." Park held her hand tighter. "And you chose it." Mary leaned her head against his shoulder. "Love didn't save me," she whispered. "Choice did." Park kissed her temple. "And you chose well." They watched the river flow quietly below. Years have passed. Wrinkles formed. But their hands still fit the same. Mary looked up at him. "If I could live again," she said softly, "I would still walk into that church." Park raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She smiled. "Because I would still want you to stop my wedding." Park laughed gently. "You're strange." She laughed too, but grateful. One evening, as the sun fell orange over London, Park held Mary close. Their breathing matched. Their hearts calm. Mary whispered, "After everything, after lies, fear, distance, and time." She looked at him. "I found my forever." Park looked back with steady love. "And I found my home." They stood there, not chasing youth, not fearing age, just living in the quiet beauty of a love that lasted. Not because it was perfect, but because it was chosen. Every day, and as the river moved beside them, Mary knew something deep and sure. Some love stories don't end with fireworks. They end with peace. And peace is the most beautiful ending of all. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share with friends and loved ones, and subscribe for more amazing stories to come.